One, two, one, two. Is this thing on? All right. My name is Ernest Owen. I'm the senior lead pastor at Higher Definition Church, founding pastor. And today I issued a challenge. Today is the first Sunday in June 2015. I issued a challenge to everybody in attendance, and I'm issuing the same challenge to you if you're watching this video. And that challenge is simply to share your faith. Talk about, explain, reiterate, whatever. How you came to know Jesus. How did you come to follow Jesus? How did you get saved? Is basically the question in church talk. How did you get saved? And so, being the one to issue the challenge, what I need to do is be faithful to execute the challenge myself. And so I'm going to talk about how I got saved. So this is my story of salvation, and it's kind of two parts. First part is when I got saved as a kid, as a teenager, and the second one is how I came to follow Jesus as an adult and began really walking in a serious way. So I was brought up in a church. My father was a pastor, a preacher. My mom was a daughter of a deacon. So I had two church folks that I grew up with, and I grew up kind of in church. And I was pretty faithful to it because, I wanted to live in their house. And so I grew up. And as I got older, it really didn't stop appealing to me. I knew that there was a God. I was really confident in that by the time I was a teenager. I had doubts when I was younger, but by the time I was a teenager, I was pretty confident that there was a God, that God existed. I just hadn't made any type of commitment to him. And so once I got about 16, I went to this event with a girl that I was talking to and her family. It was a church event. It was something called the Covenant House. I don't think I'll ever forget the name. Well, I definitely won't forget the events. But basically, it was this dramatization of the end times. And so in Revelation and in other parts of the Bible, it talks about how terrible things will become, this apocalyptic prophecy. And so they did their best to act it out, like scene by scene, room by room. You go to a room and see the horrible future that awaits and these things that are terrible, and just people's horrible treatment. And it was all based in biblical prophecy. So it was all sound biblically to them. And it was just their way of addressing that in a way that people could understand. And so afterwards, you're in a quiet room. After you've gone through basically the gauntlet of scenes, it's kind of like a walking play. You've gone through the gauntlet of scenes, and they sit you down in a room, and they say, they kind of break down in a soft voice, and they say, well, you see what is waiting for us, those of us that are in this world and waiting for Jesus to come before he gets here. These are the things that, may happen. And so who wants to know Jesus, who wants to avoid hell, who wants to, see heaven? It's kind of the way that they phrased it. And so when they asked the question, just like put your hand up. Oh, I threw my hand up real quick. Like there's no parts of me that want that, the kind of hell that they described, the kind of hell that they showed us. There's no parts of me that wanted that. And so I raised my hand. I prayed a prayer. I went home. I told my mom, Mom, I got saved. And she was saying, I knew there was something different, because I didn't tell her immediately, but she was like, I knew there was something different. And so I was saved. I knew who Jesus was. He was my Lord. He was my Savior. The only thing was, because my life was so controlled, and I was a pretty obedient kid, my faith hadn't really been tested. And so my faith didn't start getting tested until college. And college, college, I failed the faith test a lot of times and in flying colors. I was happy to be an F in faith in college because my faith was in me and doing my thing and whatever. But after I got out of college, I graduated from college, and I knew God was real still. I just wasn't really trying to hear him. I was just trying to do me. Life started beating me up a little bit. I graduated from college from UNC Chapel Hill, go Tar Heels, Tar Heel for life. And I needed a job. I went into a field that I didn't study for. I heard God tell me to go into teaching. I had never taken an education class. And so I didn't know how that was going to happen, but I started interviewing. So getting a job was kind of tough. And I had some interviews, but nobody was calling back. And so I went to church, hadn't gone in a long time, but I started going back. That's what we do. We go to church when we need something. But I went to church, wrote something about praying for a job on my offering envelope, and the pastor called me on like a Tuesday and prayed with me for a job. And that Wednesday, I got 2 offers from the same school, 2 different positions they were willing to give me. This was in July, so it was about time for school to start. But anyway, School starts. I got this new job. Yo, thanks God, but I'm still doing me. My car that I love gets totaled, and they're saying that, if you had been in this position, that position, you would have been under the car because my car flipped. I had some relationships that were starting to get bad. Too many relationships that were too superficial. All they were based on the wrong stuff, and so I was running through those relationships real quickly, and I was getting this sense of emptiness. My father was sick, and he was getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And I was just confused. Like, my job teaching teenagers, if you've never been in a room full of teenagers trying to get them to understand a concept, it's hard. And so I was challenged with teaching, challenged with life, challenged with my family because my father is nearing the end of his life. And so December 17, 2001, I was just at a breaking point, and one of my frat brothers, Dominique Hill, calls me and begins to talk to me just about life and about situation because we try to keep up, and gets to a point where he begins speaking through the spirit. Now, this hadn't really happened to me before, but he began talking about, basically speaking from God's voice, talking about my relationship with not my mother, my grandmother, my relationship with my father, and speaking things about those relationships that he didn't know and couldn't know because I didn't really talk about them. And kind of just led me through this process. The conversation just led me through this process of just opening my eyes to the fact that Jesus had a plan and a purpose for me, for the experiences that I had, for where I was going, and a call on my life, basically saying, like, Ernest, okay, I got something for you to do, something for you to be. And so December 17, 2001, in tears, after the phone call, after he hung up, I was just in tears. I was just like, hands up, I surrender, God. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. I know that you're calling me for more. I know that you're calling me toward ministry, and that this isn't the direction I was trying to go in. But you know what? I'm tired of trying to fight this battle on my own. I'm trying to do this thing my way. God, I want to be yours. And I really was just thankful and grateful for the opportunity. And so when I came to this mature adult level of faith after I've been tested and after I failed, it stuck. I never just let it go again. I never just stopped and was like, yeah, Jesus, this thing later. I haven't been perfect, but I haven't stopped walking since. So that's my story. That's my reborn identity. That's how I came to life in higher definitions, how I came to salvation. My challenge to you is share yours. Let somebody know, how did Jesus come into your life? God bless.